election integrity. It is very important to a lot of my constituents. I will be pushing, and have talked to people about it, for a comprehensive audit of the entire election system in Maricopa County from a reputable firm. I've already had a conference call, Tom and I have been on it, with the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Arizona, and the Florida Secretary of State, where we have discussed the differences between the state's election system and see if there's any areas where we can improve.
Okay, so she is calling for an audit. Our Shelby County Election Commission in Tennessee should be audited. And a number of people would agree with me. And the reason I say that, I'm going to go over that. Shelby County just recently had the 2024 election, as many other states had statewide elections. But I just want to share with you that as I spoke to the forensic investigator, Jason Sullivan, he made me aware, and I was always aware, that I found it very strange that, number one, the Cohen versus Bergman election was always called hours after the other elections were called. Number two, ever since we've been running against each other, the election results have been in the 20 plus percentile to 70 plus percentile. Mathematically, that is totally impossible, and a lot of people don't understand it. But when you have a situation where you got lazy people who have their idea of how they want the outcome of the election to turn out, they don't change what they're doing. They're just going about doing the same things over again. And I've spoken to some of our now. They don't change what they're doing. They're just going about doing the same things over again. And I've spoken to some of our leaders in the state, and they don't seem to see there is a problem with that. Well, last weekend, no, and let me get back to what Jason said. Jason said, you may not be able to prove that there is election fraud with that evidence, but it gives you an idea of what's going on. Now you got to dig down and see what's going on. So according to the Tennessee Election Integrity Group, there were 19,000 new voters that were added to the voter roll between the primary election in August and September. 19,000 new voters. And the forensic investigator said what they do is they load up registrations from the very beginning and overwhelm the people who work at the election commission such that they are not able to catch all of the new voters that are being added. So they, instead of them doing the research and trying to find out who's valid and who's not, they just add them to the roll. Secondarily, the forensic investigator said what they do in order to cheat, when the election actually starts, they will submit large numbers of mail-in ballots. And guys, you would not believe it. I looked at the voter roll for the state, and on just one day, I mean, the absentee ballots were coming in daily, but just on one day at the beginning of the early voting, there were 40,000 that were turned in on one day. That's an anomaly. Now, I want you to listen to this little bit of noise. I called it noise because it's very unpleasant to hear, but many of you have heard this noise.
We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected.
Well, what happened was this past weekend, a group of us got together and we were making a number of phone calls. We were calling voters who had participated in the last election. I had one sheet. Many of the people who had a sheet received so many of those disconnect responses. That was clue number one. Then when I looked at my sheet, I'm going to share this with you. I've got several people here. I've got a William Smith, same phone number, different address, male, but he votes out of District 99 as well as vote out of District 83. Then we have another voter, William Cochran, who has the same phone number, different address. So he votes in District 97 and he votes in District 96. If that was the only mistake, I wouldn't concern myself with it. Further down, we have 3 people who have the same phone number in the same districts, but they have different addresses, same name. I'm very, very concerned about this. And this is just from 2 pages. On the second page, we have a lady who has the same phone number, different address, and she votes in 2 different districts, District 95 and District 83. Then I look further down on the page, just 1 page, guys. Same name, same voter, Stephen Johnson, different address, same phone number, but he votes in District 98 and he votes in District 83. The voter rolls are not being cleaned. The voter rolls are where the cheating occurs. That is what I just described to you, what I found were clones, were the same names, different addresses, and these are people who could potentially vote over and over again, because this is just off of 2 pages. But I heard so many people noting that they had duplicate names that were in different precincts or districts. We need an audit in Shelby County, Tennessee. And I hope you will work with me and approach your officials to let them know there's something dirty that's going on and we're not happy with it. So anyway, that's all I got, guys. Thank you all for joining me today. I want to just add this a little bit too. I've got a list